Hello everyone. I've made you some tea, and we have yet another microphone situation this week. You should be able to hear all the slurping very clearly. Well, hello everybody. It's time once again to climb into bed with your stories and me. It's all happening. It's all happening. All right, darlings. Let me crawl into more chords this time. Just gonna. What if I just dove in? To just. All right. Hold on. Of course, I've already spilled tea. And it's all right. Nailed it. Hello, 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 dear ones. It's going to happen one of these days. The thing about having a recording studio built into your bedroom is that sometimes you want to sleep and not work. And so the comings and the goings of microphones and lights and things like that becomes a bit inconsistent. But I am so pleased to be here with you tonight. Hello, Sally. Hello, Bill. Hello, Johnny O Twitch. Hello, Screaming Dragon. Hello, Gillian82. Is it Gillian or Jillian? What do you think? With a zh or a g? See, I took Arabic when I was in college, and there is this letter that sounds like r, and it's in the back of your throat. Gil. All right, Gillian. Well, hello, welcome, welcome. Perhaps you've never been here before, but this Monday evening, as all Monday evenings, is story time. Your retro sci-fi stories, or perhaps something a little bit more modern. We've got, as usual, Roger Zelazny's Creatures of Light and Darkness, which someone sent to me anonymously and has never fessed up to it. This one was published in 1969. It's like Anubis and space gods and robot people and a lot of philosophy about what is and is not alive or dead. Then, of course, Space Opera by Catherine M. Valenti, a brilliant masterwork of joyous science fiction that celebrates what it means to be sentient, and that music is the thing that pushes creatures from being meat into being people across the universe. Eurovision in space. And then, classic, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've always kind of wanted the one that said "Don't panic" in reassuring letters on the front. But this is the one I have, and I love it. It's an omnibus. Darlings, 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 how has your week been? Tell me how you've been. I have been good, but I can't believe it's been a week. I honestly am having a lot of trouble believing that it's been an entire week. Oh, I should change the banner. I'm on my own. if anybody wants to help me from afar. This is your call to join the GlamourHobo Nation if you want to crawl into bed with me on a long-term basis. But of course, throughout the course of the evening, you could always just throw a tip my way. So this evening, I am drinking some raspberry leaf tea. It's good for the lady parts, I hear. I can't honestly definitively say if it is or not, but I like it. A little bit of honey, a little wildflower honey, local to Richmond in it. And it is tasty. I should ask, what are you drinking, dear ones? Thomas the Tank Engine was in town. What? Now that is a book of my youth. That is absolutely a book of my youth. My father was an engineer and loved trains. And Thomas the Tank Engine was something very near and dear to me. That was actually my first introduction to George Carlin, was as Mr. Conductor on the children's show Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, I don't know about you, but that is a strange way to come into some sort of relation with George Carlin. I learned about his other material a little bit later in my life. Oh, just some guy. Hello, and Reverend Tommy. Hello. A cup of black tea is the beverage. Excellent, excellent. Pepsi, water. Can't believe Pepsi at 10 o'clock at night. Is it just so you can get through my show? I should paint you a sensory picture. I want to do this at the beginning of every show. I want to say a couple of things. Welcome, welcome, welcome to GlamourHobo Bedtime Tales. I am your bedtime tale teller, Carmel. I am broadcasting to you from the boundary of Powhatan and Monacan land on the James River. The room is my room. I have painted it like the inside of my own brain. The air smells of opium incense, which I assume smells like poppies and not like heroin addiction, but I can't be sure, because I hope to influence your dreams this evening. And I have my blue lantern lit. So I am hoping, praying, and taking steps towards a smooth production with you this evening. All right. And it's sounding very good out there. Thank you very much. I have actually jerry-rigged a chair that is also my bedside table, holding all of my books and my tarot decks and some smut to be my microphone holder. So finally, we may have cracked this. All right, darlings. Reverend Tommy has had fair burnout all day, especially after the injuries suffered. Got a nasty bruise developed from a kilt buckle. I feel like there's a story here that I don't know, but I should also mention that I too went to a fair this weekend. I went to the Maryland Renaissance Fair for the very first time. It reminded me so much of my home fair, which is the Great Lakes Medieval Fair up in Ohio, right on Lake Erie. And it was really glorious. It was opening day. I was there to support Paolo Garbanzo, Danger Juggler Extraordinaire, and Onsa. I got to see London Broil live for the very first time. That was wonderful. You may remember Louis from Nat 21 Adventures Tuesday night show. And there were a ton of other people, just like a shitload of other people working the fair that I did not get to see, because that fair is very, very huge. It was a wonderful day, but it was so hot. It was so hot. And I did get to go on a trip to Venice. That's really great. So if you go to the Maryland Renaissance Fair, there's this really cool little installation. It only costs $5. It's a peep show called A Trip to Venice, or A Journey to Venice. I think I'm actually using the ticket stub as a bookmark. But we know what happens to bookmarks in this show. And it's really, really great. You go inside this building, and they have built these giant miniature buildings, like the buildings of Venice, as if you are in a gondola. So you're walking where the water would be. And you open up these tiny little doors, and you can see inside to these adorable, pristine dioramas about Venice, about the Hall of Mirrors, or the Renaissance Masquerade, or a puppet show, or a fairy dance, or it's just so cool. It's so interesting. They have an infinity booth, so you can take selfies if you want to do that. I took one. The light's very bad for selfies, frankly, but it was really charming and so well made. And it's by the man who made it was Gabriel Quirk, as some of you may know. All right, so the chat is telling me that went to Parf, bringing dinner back after hours from Chase Treasure, stepped in mud and went tumbling into gravel and rocks. A peep show called A Trip to... There were no Venetian blinds in the peep show. But now that you say it, I wonder what they were missing. I'm very sorry to hear about your tumble, Reverend Tommy. That is bad news. I would blame chased treasure. Anyone who says that they are chased should be blamed. I'm so sorry. You tumbled in such a way that your own belt buckle actually bruised you? That's a lot. You're doing a lot. That belt buckle's doing a lot as well. As I said, I went to Maryland Fair, and I unearthed, as I was getting my fair accoutrement out of the basement, I found yet another silk kimono, because I apparently didn't have quite enough. So here I am in my pink and champagne-colored silk kimono with chrysanthemum theme. I confess it needs a bit of a steam. I confess. But all this week, I am getting ready to go on a large road trip, which you can all follow along with if you're part of the GlamourHobo Nation on my Patreon. I will send you gifts and postcards from the road, as well as some little behind-the-scenes-y things. I am driving up to Cleveland first, and then on to Chicago, because Chicago is where this gig is, and I will be stilt walking at a downtown festival for 2 days, along with hundreds of other performers. And I have been practicing my platform stilt walking, and I have to say, yesterday morning I was quite worried about it. Well, I should say Sunday. Sunday I was quite worried about it. I made a TikTok about it. But I'm getting better. I'm getting stronger. I do it twice a day. I get up in the morning, I put on my shit kicker boots, and I go and I get up on them and I walk around the yard, and I shouldn't say walk. I should say toddle. I toddle about the yard in the screaming sun, and I don't fall over, and then I go along with the rest of my day, the rest of my business, and then I get up in the afternoon and I do it again. And I'm getting better. I am. But it is really difficult. It's really difficult. Does anyone know if men's kimonos and women's are made the same? They are, but they're not. My remembrance and understanding is that the shape is generally the same, but it's actually the sleeves that give it away about if it's a young woman's style kimono, a maiden's kimono. They are very, very long sleeves, and they get shorter the older you get. But I could be wrong about that, and I would love to be educated. So I'm wearing a short sleeved. The great thing about these is that they're actually pockets. Love it. All right, darlings, what are we going to read tonight? Now that I've told you about my adventures this past weekend and my adventures moving forward, what shall we read? This tea is really hitting the spot this evening. Are we reading Creatures of Light and Darkness? Are we reading more space opera? I think we're getting to some very good bits in this, actually. Or are we reading more of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Poetry. A kimono tank top. I think that's just a tent dress. Just some guy. I think that's just a maxi dress, which I support. I think you'd look great in it. Like a wizard's robe, a strap, like a sleeveless. It's like a muscle beach wizard's robe. I think somebody should make it. Hitchhikers from Sally. Space opera poetry. Poetic Edda? I don't know what that is. All right, let's check the space opera. Or we will read some space opera, but we will check Hitchhikers to see if the bookmark has moved, as it usually wanders off. I think it's in the right place, because it's right here. I got this in my mailbag. Somebody sent me a bookmark and says, be it past, present, or future, it's good to know where you are. I got that from Hot Todd Lincoln. I think it's in the right spot. I think it hasn't wandered. I think us calling out the Domovoy who've been moving my fucking bookmark has had them to stop it. All right, so we're space opera, or my favorite poem. Why are you guys calling for poetry? I will read you my favorite poem. I may cry in the middle of it, actually. Especially since we've lit the lamp. I have some Oscar Wilde poetry downstairs. I wrote a song about one of them called The Sphinx, which I really quite like, actually. Hold on, let me put on my reading glasses. What do you think? I bought these years ago. I love them. I Wear by Rocky. Raqui. Alright, my favorite poem. And then space opera. Excellent. Ahem. Oh, what is it called? New Colossus. It's a sonnet. Just let me look at it. Why is this so difficult? Should have this memorized. All right, here we go. Ah. Thank you, Bill. Someone needs to start publishing as Oscar. All right, this is my favorite poem. It's The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus from 1883, and it is best known as the poem inscribed on the Statue of Liberty. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows world-wide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. I did get a little teary. I always get a little teary. It's always during Give Me Your Tired, Your Poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. My people came mostly from Ireland and Germany. Because they were starving to death. And I'm looking into getting dual citizenship in Ireland, but there's something very serious and magical about embracing that part of my history and my identity, because my family and many families left those countries in trauma. They left them in complete horror. That they were, in the Irish's case, literally starving to death in the streets, being worked as indentured servants, as slaves to the English. Worked to death on their own land and still starving. 2 lessons can be made from that. One is avoid monoculture at all costs, because when the potato famine hits, or the banana famine, which is happening right now actually, people starve. We need diversity in our agriculture, just as we need diversity in our human cultures, in our stories, in our perspectives. It makes us stronger. And it's an interesting moment to remember that my family chose to leave everything and burn down the memories. There are no memories of the old country. There are no stories of the old country. There is no folk tale of the old country. There is no food memory or anything of the old country. The one thing I do remember is the phrase lace curtain Irish versus pig shit Irish. There are only 2 kinds of Irish people. Lace curtain, meaning upstanding, wealthy people who had lace curtains. Or pig shit Irish, which is the poorest of the poor. So I can't fault them for literally going anywhere that they thought might be better than where they were. But America has a lot to answer for right now, and it always has. There are refugees still streaming in, yearning to breathe free. And I honestly don't know how to help. I don't know how to help. So I volunteer when I can. Today I filled out paperwork to work for refugee resettlement here in Richmond. And I read stories. What better way to create empathetic communities than through art and storytelling, dear ones? This is how I lift my lamp. All right, darlings. Where were we? I think we're just about to meet the cat. We learned about how hyperdrive works in this universe. It's a paradox box. In this case, it is a man having sex with his own grandmother, which is paradox. He was becoming his own grandfather. The Keshet are able to move through time, and so they can just pluck a paradox out of anywhere and put a containment field around it, and that is what powers faster than light motion. Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Johnny. All right, chapter 18. All the things that nobody sees. Oh, you know what we haven't done? This started last week. And you demanded that it become a thing. Toe puppet. All right, darlings. Oh, that's so much better. All the things that nobody sees. It takes 11 days, give or take, to reach Litost from Earth via paradox-fueled aquarium. Back in the mango-coloured days of hope and ruin, this would have been more than enough time for the absolute zeros to knock out a pop anthem that would drench the world in a tsunami of glitter and meaning. Remember, during this transference, they're meant to be writing the song that's going to save all of Earth from being zapped into nothing. Excuse me. I have to admit, I have a very hot librarian thing going on right now. Now it was just long enough to write absolutely nothing. Reveal 2 things better kept secret, and one that should have been laid out ages ago. Set 3 accidental fires. Send back 17 separate meals for being far too surrealistic. Pitch 6 screaming matches. Consider suicide by airlock at least once or twice, reject hundreds of potential lyrics and riffs, form one extremely unlikely, inconvenient, and non-Euclidean friendship, invent 4 entirely new swear words, request separate accommodations, quit in tears, make up in tears, get in a few quality depression sessions, seriously annoy one large, usually serene white cat, and remind them why they'd broken up the band in the first place. Capo napped almost the whole way across to the galaxy. Capo is the name of the cat. Nico and Susie Kalishkin's enormous 4-year-old Maine Coon Angora nobody's barn cat, possibly a stray albino panther mix, was entirely unbothered by suddenly achieving the ability to speak rather posh English. Oh, certainly it had been alarming at first, but adjusting to sudden changes in your circumstances was easy when you didn't really care about anything. As far as she was concerned, she'd always talked. By some miracle, someone else had recently achieved the ability to listen properly. She was over the novelty within half an hour. No one listened to her or asked for her input or attended gratefully to her needs any more than they ever had. They were too busy making big monkey fusses over their big monkey problems. Capo didn't see why it was ever necessary to make a fuss. Fussing was for dogs and babies. This new house smelled like delicious fish. The steady rumbling of the engine vibrated at almost the exact frequency of a purr, and there were scads of birds and scurrying red squirrel-type things roaming about. And whenever she was hungry, she would just gnaw on the walls till the little shrimps came out to investigate. It was a vast improvement over their old house in terms of cat comfort. The key to happy life, Capo devoutly believed, was never giving much of a damn what happened in any given day as long as you got in a nap, a kill, and a snuggle, and the snuggle was optional. When Ort and Justine had adopted her from that shelter and given her a nice house where she was expected to be civilized, well-behaved indoor cat, despite the whole joint lacking anything like a population of murderable sparrows, field mice, bunnies, and whatnot, she hadn't run around making grand speeches and crying and questioning the meaning of it all. She just carried on and contented herself with spiders, pieces of lint, and occasionally scratching or biting one of the kids just to keep in practice. The nap was really the most important thing. The nap was all. Capo quickly triangulated the prime sleeping spot in their stateroom, a tall coral plinth with a decorative pot of flowering seaweed on top. The pot made a fantastic sound when it smashed against the floor. The massive white cat settled in for what might have been an hour or a lifetime or 11 days. It simply wasn't any of her concern how long. Occasionally, loud noises or hunger or a drum riff or the blort of the ortophone or Decibel trying to coax her into eating something that looked like a licorice allsort woke Capo from her long day's journey into snooze. She opened her bright green eyes, investigated, protested, or ingested as necessary, turned her rump to the offending thing, and went back to sleep. Thus, for her, the voyage passed by like a training montage in a hastily made feel-bad film. In bits and flits and pieces, the feline found it far too much work to understand or care about. So here we are, experiencing the story as if we are the cat, waking sometimes from a nap. I think it's time. You know what? I'm going to yawn. I'm going to yawn every time there's a transition. That was a good one. I think it's time for a radical suggestion, Ort. It's time to bring back Ultrapunts. No. What? I don't care what the critics said. The critics are all back on Earth, praying they were wrong about us, and they were. The literal heavens opened and magical beings descended and said we rocked. This is what those birds and pandas and whatnot want to hear. Ultraponce, king of time and space, shooting sadness in the face and snogging gods and lighting up the dark. It's perfect. It was our opus. It was our opus. That was the whole problem, Mr. Wee Tate of the Modern. Space Crumpet was us, all of us, passing a napkin around at 3 a.m. and writing out a song line by line and humming together till something real came out, writing lyrics for one another's tunes and tunes for one another's lyrics. It was communal, you prat. That was the point. Ultraponce was you, just you, inventing this bigger and better version of yourself in a superhero cape and making us your fucking backup band. Oh no, it was better to have a unified voice, wasn't it? But unified just meant your voice, your words, even though the second biggest hit off Space Crumpet was Mira's, and you know it, and it just eats you alive, doesn't it? You don't get to do that again. You don't get to ignore us. Me. You were on that list too. We were on that list too. Remind me how well Decibel Jones has been doing without the zeros. I don't know, Omar. How's writing pie jingles coming? Having fun playing bass on some reality star's vanity album, are we? Writing a jingle for a luxury car commercial? You fucking sold out. At least I'm doing something and trying. God, they always go straight at the end, don't they? One way or another, or both. Excuse me for not sticking around your little one-man misery society. Capo's ruff rippled. She flexed her claws and rolled over, paws splayed out, white belly to the ceiling, and soon enough she was snoring tinily, eyes shut, eyes open, eyes shut again, eyes open. Ooh. Come here, you fuzzy redness. It's late, and Des and the Roadrunner are at it again, and I miss my wife, and I miss my kids. I've got this feeling in my chest, like I'm going to have a very undignified, non-sentient freaking out if I don't focus on something other than the fact that the chandelier is staring at me, and there's nothing outside but empty all the way down, and everything I love and probably going to get burned to the ground. I'll sing you some Yoko. I think I remember walking on thin ice, more or less. Mandatory Keshet scrunched up his cream-colored face and wrinkled his black nose. Capo wanted to bite his cream-colored face and his black nose so badly her fangs itched. That's got Lennon all over it, the uncatchable time-traveling prey animal said doubtfully. Yeah, well, so do I, mate. Ortsate Ultraviolet began to strum softly in the long dark between worlds, singing about a lake as big as the ocean. Do the scream, though, the red panda insisted. Come on, that's the worst bit. I'm more of a cerebral crooner than a screamer. This is why we are worried, concerned, worried, dubious about your sentience. How can you sing a song without a scream from the gut of your mind, soul, body, mind, heart, soul, soul? What even is a song, chant, anthem, song, without the screamy bit? Listen, this will be very awkward, socially twisted, awkward for you, but I hate, can't bear this part. I want to skip past, future, past, future. It as fast as we can. Come on. Let's go faster. We are always already friends. I have had this interaction with you 12,603 times already before, already. I've already scrambled, climbed, wiggled back and forth through every interactions we've ever had or ever will have, but might. Every permutation of our mutual sympathetic, emotional, and snuggle experience, every outcome will win, lose, draw, nuclear annihilation of the Grand Prix, of your band, of your marriage, of every cell that makes you up and me and the future and the past. This is our first real conversation for you, but it is the billionth for me. I currently rank you 5th, 4th, 5th, 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 6th of my favorite entities of all time. And I know you can do the screamy bit really, really good. You can. I don't know about your crooning, but I believe utterly in your screamy bits. Do the thing, English bloke man. Just for once, twice, once, infinity, forever. I would like to remind all of you that the reason that the Keshet talks like this is because he's experiencing all versions of all timelines simultaneously, and sometimes he gets stuck. Urtsate Ultraviolet shut his eyes in the depths of space, took a deep breath, and screech sang the ghost of Yoko Ono proud. He stopped short. Lennon got shot right after he recorded, you know. Played away the afternoon. Didn't make it through the night. He was holding a final tape in his hand when he died. I know, no, went saw. I went there, everywhere, wherever went there, ever went there, were there. Urt's eyes went dark and wet and pained. You might have a point about us. I know that too. Whiskers quivered, eyes shut, eyes open again. Oh! I'm sorry, Urt. I'm so sorry. You're right, you're always so bloody right. I hate that about you. I was happy then. For one stupid minute, I was happy. I was in the middle of things and I wanted to stay there. I wanted it to be like that forever. And Mira wanted to write all these important songs about what's going on, and you wanted to do like concept jazz or something, and I felt it slipping away. I felt like I was the only one who understood that the only wall we could ever build against what's going on was the glitter and the shine and the synth and the knowing grin that never stops knowing. The show. Because the opposite of fascism isn't anarchy. It's theater. When the world is fucked, you go to the theater. You go to the shine. And when the bad men come, all there is left to do is sing them down. You didn't get it. I didn't think you understood. You can't sing a dirge to the Reaper. He's already heard them all. You got to slaughter him with joy and beat like the best of all possible shags. And because somehow, my Nan's cartoons always had it right. And the Care Bear stare is the most powerful force in the world. And I wanted to shine, and you wanted to scream, and we just failed. We failed at both, and neither because of me. It was always about you somehow, even when you're apologizing. It's kind of impressive. I'm trying. So you were an arrogant, selfish arseface because the world, man, or because me and Mira were just too thick to comprehend your genius. God, you just don't crack, do you? What is this about you? Why do you hate me so much? You used to love me. I still love you. I don't hate you. I just don't like looking at you too much these days. Fine. Don't tell me. Don't use your outside voice like a grown-up. Go back to interfering with your panda friend. Is that because of Edinburgh? Do you really still hate me for that? Because I didn't marry her? Capo watched her human set the device she was named for down and carefully on a knob of black coral. He spoke very quietly and clearly. Go fuck yourself, Funshine Bear. You're the stupidest man I've ever known, even if the rest of us are sentient. And you are decisively not. She didn't want to marry you, you arse. Everything was on fire, and all we could do was watch it happen on TV. It was a weird night. She got weird, and it was a natural reaction. None of us stopped her. None of us even saw her leave. You didn't either. Neither did Lila. How is it still my fault? It's your fault, because if you just told her you loved her, because you did, and not to cry, because that's what a human being does, and that everything was going to be okay, because you knew maybe it would have been. Instead of laughing in her face like a goddamn monster, she wouldn't have had to go calm herself down with the driving. She would be here in this terrible, stupid, horrible, gorgeous fucking spaceship with us, and the song would already be written, and nothing bad would ever have happened to us. It's your fault she's dead, and I've never much felt like forgiving you, so just let me be. A long silence. Long enough to lie down in. Long enough to forget you ever knew how to talk. We're not, you know. Not what, Ort. Sentient. Nobody sentient would have let any of it happen. Would have let that night come or go on after. I'm not either. Nobody sentient would have let Mira drive. I slid closed. I slid it open. Decibel Jones lay in the dark alongside the Roadrunner's long, lithe blue body. Were you afraid? Before the Grand Prix? Very much. I shouldn't have come. I'll just sludge it up. I'm already sludging it up. All I've ever wanted was to make something beautiful, and everything I touch just disappears in a poof of fuckery. Capo wrinkled her muzzle in distaste. She was, as all cats, ultimately conservative on the subject of interspecies relations. Decibel changed subjects like a drunk changing lanes. Look. Are we a thing, an item? I don't know how this works. I'm sorry. There is only one of you. Eska do not pair bond. Perhaps if all the zeros were here, we could manage a flock. But as it is, you and I are just friends with a short-term benefit plan. But I do like you, even if you're only plausibly sentient. A long silence. How long do Eska live? If we're careful, around 300 years. I am 121, if you're asking. Not too old for you, I hope. It's less for us. A lot less. The Eska nuzzled him with her thin black beak. That's because your science is tiny and ridiculous and adorable, like a plush toy. You shouldn't come round any more. It's not good for you. I'll sludge you up too. I won't mean to, but I will. Plus, I think it really bothers Ort's cat. The great ultramarine fish flamingo made a soft, awful sound with her rib cage. I am having fun. Please do not make me go. I loved Mira and she left. I loved Ort and... well, Ort seems fine. But I loved my parents, and I loved my grandmother, and I loved Lila Poole, and I loved my life, and it's all gone. Being around me is a high-risk enterprise. Dying happens to everyone, even stars. Even the stuff between the stars. But if you believe in yourself and achieve your goals, you can die so hard that no one will ever forget you. And that's almost as good as not dying at all. Well, it isn't really. It isn't at all. And believing and achieving is just something sportscasters say. But what are you going to do? Not die? Try it. I'll wait. What? It is Gorgonor Gorcannon's 7th unkillable fact. Who the hell is Gorgonor Gorcannon? I will bring you my copy, the Roadrunner said softly, and when she said it, She said it in Mira's lilting, amused voice. Capo hissed in her dreams, chasing red pandas and blue flamingos through an infinite suburban garden. Eyes squeezed tight, eyes blinked open. Heya, ooh, Roadrunner. Heya, Ort. So, I think we have a melody. It's good. Hairs on the back of your neck good. It's something. The red panda scratched his hind leg. That's nice. And Des has a plan for the lyrics. It's pretty clever, actually. We agreed we were never going to write the perfect song to encapsulate ourselves and our species and our hopes and dreams for the universe, for the future, for everything humanity ever has been or hopes to be, but that also has a great beat and a summer pop chart potential. Using pyrotechnics we don't have, costumes that somehow magically manifest without Mira, and a hope and a prayer that the urtophone is compatible with the local voltage, would have to be the greatest song ever written, and let's be honest, even our best wasn't Mozart. So we're going to copy off humanity's homework. Every poem brilliant enough for us to remember without a Wi-Fi connection, every line, every immortal pentameter. We'll string it together with a few prepositions and voila, instant genius. The stranger that was so good at upsetting Capo's human picked at something on his shoe. A mouse? A spider? Oh no, nothing, of course. Humans were the worst. The stranger spat out a few lines like he wanted to be anywhere else. Quoth the raven, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether I am the master of my fate, in form how like an angel, in apprehension how, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield, and though I could not stop for death, oh, there is no other life here, burning bright in the forest of night, calling our fiddlers three. I'm still working on the bridge. Come on, Des. Give it something. Bit of the old oomph. The bird talked, which irritated Capo because she was reminded that she hadn't eaten the bird. It's a bit awkward. I'm not sure I follow the sentiment completely. It doesn't matter anyway. Decibel mumbled. Look, Des, I'm sorry about last night. You don't have to be like that. Sorry, wrong voice. Ahem. Look, Des. I'm sorry about last night. You don't have to be like that. It's me, remember? You're old Ort. Do the part with the dulce decorumist. Come on, it's good. I promise. I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't. That's not me. Decibel Jones pushed a mauve anemone on the wall. A clear jelly glass flickered on, half swallowed up by the coral hull. It's not about that. I was a rotten little brat, wasn't I? I was Mr. Devil of Tasmania. But it doesn't matter now. I've been up all night while you were snooze pool, doing reconnaissance, research. I used to be good at that, you know. At a lot of things. Decibel Jones and Ort St. Ultraviolet watched on the screen as a century of Grand Prix performances began to play, one after the other. Glorious golden tubes of sea flesh pulsing, huge-eyed, childlike black creatures chanting. Some kind of horrific monster dancing with a skeleton. A pale, thorny suit of armor blushing. Somehow, out loud, 7 graceful blue Eska sieving the wind through their bones. And there was the Roadrunner at the head of the band, projecting a water bird made of light from her lantern. Another Eska dancing silently on another stage, somewhere else, somewhere far. Behind her, others moved like eggs floating in a marsh, waiting to become alive. When the lantern bird opened her throat to sing, another light shone. Light within light, light from its own lantern, streamed out and shaped itself into glowing, glittering, horrifying ruins. Planetary ruins, the ruins of constellations. Alunazar's ships crushed to death and drifting among the stars. The crystalline cities of the Keshet turned to rubble, the starlit sweeping of the Yus over the molten surface of their homeworld. And over all this stretched the wings of the Eska, their Eska, the Roadrunner, the infrasound vibratory kindly voice of her people with her huge eyes begging for protection, their soft throats that anyone could cut at any moment. With her wings and her piscine fronds and lantern light, the Eska lay herself over the ruins, gave up her body and her song to keep what was left from harm, took the terrible fire still raining down from the ultramarine biolamps of her backup dancers on the silken feathers and scales of her back until she was gone. She was gone and her voice vanished, but the galaxy remained. Civilization remained. And then another song began, better than that one. Each song was so impossible, so perfect, so complex, so anatomically baffling, and they only grew more heartbreaking and piercing, the special effects more dazzling, the fire and the ice and the psychic manipulation of the audience. Both of them sobbed and sobbed as if they had lost everything in the world. Hours passed. The humans watched in an agony of feeling, in a rictus of involuntary ecstasy and horror and grief and artistic nirvana, their bodies shuddering, their brains a sea of flamingo blue emotion. The cat watched with semi-mild interest. It was all right, she supposed, if you were into that sort of thing. When it was over, Decibel Jones turned to the last absolute zero and said, "So, I suppose what I'm saying is, we're all going to die." That's going to have to do us, darlings. Space Opera by Catherine M. Valenti. Please buy this from your local independent bookseller. I'll take off my reading glasses. Support the work, support the arts. It's been my pleasure and my privilege to be here with you. I hope that this crisp audio has been flooding into your ears in a more delicious way than usual. I went back and actually edited last week's footage because it was so bad. The sound was so bad. So if you go onto my YouTube channel, I actually have all of these Monday night shows up in a playlist for the Bedtime Tales, and I did in fact edit it. It's half the time because Jesus God, it sounded so bad. I was very disappointed. So I'm going to continue to finish my tea. It's now 11 o'clock. It's been a long day of doing all the work. Work. Tell me how you work. I do enjoy these little tete-a-tetes. And I have a couple of things to tease. There is tomorrow's show, your regularly scheduled Tuesday night adventures. And we have sponsors, but I don't know who they are. I'm so sorry. As always, Ren Adventures, which is booking the D&D tours to England in June of 2022, which you can sign up for. If you don't want to join the GlamourHobo Nation and be in a long-term relationship with me, that's fine. You can just tip your reader for the work that you've been nourishing the service of this evening. It's a one-night stand, let's say. Leave the money on the bedside table. And as usual, I don't have any of the brand stuff. I'm so sorry. I'm so underprepared. That's bad of me. It's been my pleasure and my privilege to be here with all of you dear ones every Monday evening, and next Monday evening I'll actually be on the road again. So you'll be with me wherever I am. I think I'll be in Cleveland. But I may be in Minnesota. Wisconsin. I might be in Wisconsin at the House on the Rock. It's this crazy fucking place. And I'm already going to Chicago, so I might extend my trip and go to the House on the Rock. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet or not, though. I really want to. If you tip me heavily, then I'll be able to afford to stay in a hotel that night. And how fucking cool would that be? So I could be doing next week's Bedtime Tales from Wisconsin after a long day at the House on the Rock. Or I could be in Cleveland, which I quite like. Both of them are strange little places. My darlings, have a lovely evening. Have a lovely week. Find what you can do to make this world slightly better in even the smallest ways. Light your lamp beside the golden doors. I encourage you to get involved in your local mutual aid societies and any kind of volunteering that helps your community get stronger and grow closer. It is my pleasure and my privilege to be here with you. Good night.